Gromit, old pal. I'll need assistance. Ow!
The technique is a traditional kind of stop frame animation. You know, it's what we call plasticine. You know, it's clay, kids modelling clay with metal skeletons inside, armatures, and it's all moved every, stop frame, move it, take a frame, move it again, take a frame.
I'm responsible for making sure all the characters get realised to the director's vision. The character is then sculpted as an initial sculpt. We then produce a skeleton for the character. These are made up from ball and socket units, joined together by rods, and this performs the bones and the joints of the character. These have to be tensioned in a particular way in order to hold a lump of plasticine at the top, and also to give the right movement so that the animator can get the right movement. This is a press mold for Gromit's legs, and we put the armature inside of this tool and press the clay, modelling clay around the armature, and consequently get a piece with the armature central to the clay, modelling clay. The reason for making all of the characters through this moulding process is so that we can retain the character each time, so that we can reproduce these puppets time and time again, and they'll always look exactly the same. These, on the top shelf here, are all of our 13 crowd characters. All of these are named characters, and these are the original sculpts. From there, those are taken into production, and we produce multiple puppets. So each of these characters have been produced 4 or 5 times. And I think in total, we've got about 45 crowd characters now. Each of them is an individual character. Some of them don't have speaking parts, but they all have reaction parts, and they all have a name.
With Wallace and Gromit, we tend to use tools less, just so we get what we call a sort of fumminess to it. We don't want it too slick, too smooth, too much like a computer animated program. So we quite often just thumb over to make sure there's fingerprints still visible. So when you use tools, you don't want to get too many hard edges on things. So wooden tools are usually better. And then for the eyes, we quite often use these painful looking devices, and they've actually got holes in the middle. So if you want to move those, we skewer them and just adjust them like that. Quite often shocks people when you see that happen.
There's a new love interest in this one as well. The person who runs the vegetable show, the kind of posh Lady Tottington of Tottington Hall, played by Helena Bonham Carter.
Please, Wallace, call me Totty.
This is one of her outfits. This is what we call her aubergine dress. As you can see, she hasn't got her mouth replacement part here. That's in a box and ready to go down to the animators. Each mouth replacement has a different shaped mouth, so the animator can take off the mouth and replace it with another mouth, and using what we call is a dope sheet, they can identify quickly which mouth shape is required.
So the actors record the dialogue with the directors first. It's similar to if they were being directed in a normal feature film, except they're not actually on set at the time.
You think you can pilfer my filly, don't you?
So if the line is pilfer my filly, that's then broken down into syllables on this sheet. So I know how many frames each word is going to be. So P is 1 frame, I is 2, and each page is 2 seconds.
The process of animation is so time-consuming for the animator, it's so mind-consuming for the animator, that if there's a technical problem or a lighting problem, they might have to come back in here and do that shot again, and it might have taken them a week to do. So we have to make sure that when the camera turns over for real, everything is absolutely ready.
I can now go and put the head back on, and now I can move the rest of the character by using this device here, which will show me how the character has moved from one frame to the next. So I'm moving his head left, and on the screen he moves his head left too. If I want to move his arm down at the same time, it'll show me that too. And then when I'm satisfied with that, I can move to another program on the computer and actually take that picture, and if you flip between the two, it's almost imperceptible, but he is actually moving. And if you add lots of movements like that, back to back, 24 positions a second, you get animation. This would be quite a quick movement because the increments are quite large. You add it all up, and there's a camera move as well. As you can see, the camera's now moving out and moving him back again, and stepping through.
We have 20 or 30 animators shooting every day, and they're each getting through about 3 or 4 seconds a day, which doesn't sound a lot. That's each. So Last week we hit our record, which was 100 seconds in a week. Overall, the whole studio produced 100 seconds of animation, which is a lot for animation.
Very cheeky.
This film will have taken us 5 years to have made, and at least 2 of those years are getting the actual characters exactly right. This is Victor Quatermain, voiced by Ralph Fiennes, and he's changed dynamically into this appearance now.
What you see is what you get.
And we are in front of Tottington Hall, which is the stately home where Lady Tottington lives, and we're getting ready for the great giant vegetable competition.
It's a veritable paradise.
Well, this is where all the vegetables that get made, where all the set dressers are based.
We provide vegetables and foliage, and
bushes,
sheds,
fences, and all
garden
gardens
sheds, implements for the garden,
buildings, isn't there?
trees,
Greenhouses.
yeah, you name it.
It's all
It's all
garden
provided
based.
for, and interiors as well.
We make grass actually for the gardens. It's made from fir. This is your normal common garden fir, painted up to make it look like grass.
This is basically kind of stock vegetables, not specials, but stock vegetables. So if you want a garden set with so many marrows or so many pumpkins, then they're here to provide them.
And some of the vegetables are actually made in wax, so they're translucent, so they've got the real feel to them.
That's a marrow. Do you have marrows in the States? Do you have the equivalent of a marrow? A zucchini?
This carrot was made for a particular shot with Lady Tottington.
Yeah.
As a prize carrot. And some veg, when they're this size, they're made hollow, aren't they?
Yes,
so
yeah.
they're not so heavy for the puppet to hold.
Essentially, it's no different from live action in that you arrive on a set and you have to light the set in the best way you can, to the director's brief, to your own imagination.
We've kind of gone for this kind of horror genre. We think it's the world's first vegetarian horror movie, so it has a big feel, you know, it feels like an old Universal horror movie. There was always seemed to be this backdrop of a stately home in British horror films. There was always a big manor house with some very posh people that behaved very oddly.
I have the most terrible rabbit problem.
People love to get really involved with our films, you know, dramatically involved with the characters, you know, having to deal with these you know, great forces and dramatic events, but at the same time you can see that it's made of clay, you know, and that there's this ongoing joke with the audience the whole time. You know that Gromit is a lump of plasticine, and yet you care for him, and I think it just puts you in touch with the film. You really feel it's handcrafted, and that you almost feel, really, that you could easily do it yourself.
Job well done, lad.